Hello and Assalamu alaikum. I am Kashif Kamran and I welcome you to the Audit and Assurance classes for December 2019 session. Now, this is the first lecture, and this first lecture will focus on the introduction of the Audit and Assurance paper. So, each and every one of you has a very sound understanding about how you should be preparing yourself for the Audit and Assurance exams. To start on with, I would first like to introduce myself as a tutor. I am Kashif Kamran. I am a fellow chartered certified accountant. I do have a certificate in international auditing, and I am a CA finalist from the Institute of Chartered Accountant of Pakistan. I have worked for 6 years at Deloitte, Pakistan, which is one of the big four audit firms. And in terms of my teaching experience, I am teaching since the last 12 years for ACCA qualifications, and my core papers includes the Strategic Business Leader, the Advanced Audit and Assurance, and the Audit and Assurance. I have taken a break of like 2 years uh, in my AA teaching, Audit and Assurance teaching, and from December 2019 exam sessions, I'm making a comeback in my AA teaching because I was giving substantial time through my AAA teaching over the last many years. But I used to teach the AA paper till like 2017 sessions. But then I took a break for like 2 years before I thought it's good time to start back again with the AA teaching so that the basics of the AA students can be developed effectively for their onwards transition towards the triple exams. I am currently associated with the Bani School of Accountancy, which is a platinum approved learning provider of ACCA in Karachi, Pakistan. And I also heads the online teaching platform, which is known as Online Lecturers. I have been conducting the Advanced Audit and Assurance ACCA webinars, which is basically the ACCA Practice to Pass session, consistently on every quarterly basis since March 2018. And my pass rates for my triple exams and when I used to teach even my double A exams have been above the global averages. So I welcome you all to my double A classes for December 2019 exams. And let's start on with the journey. Let's first understand something about the double A paper. Now, when you are all set to appear for the double A exams in December 2019, firstly, when you have opted for the double A exam, there is a lot of knowledge which needs to be carried forward from your prior ACCA papers and which connects at a certain point in time with the double A paper. Firstly, the F1 paper, which is the accountant in business paper. You need a lot of knowledge coming from AB paper to the double A paper. Then you need knowledge coming from the CL, the corporate law paper, the F4 paper, into the double A paper. And lastly, the knowledge coming from the FR paper is very important. Now, if you have knowledge of AB, you have knowledge of FR, and you have knowledge of CL, you will be better prepared for your double A exams in December 19. And this is a structure which has been created by ACCA. And ACCA believe that you do papers in a sequential order. And when you are appearing for the double A exam, you have the background knowledge of AB, FR, and CL. And FR is more important because within FR, you do the accounting standards. And at times, the need to use the accounting standards is also part of the double A exam. So if you know the accounting standards well, and you know the financial statements well, and you know the basics you must have learned in the financial reporting class will really be helpful when it comes down to the double A classes. So this is the prior knowledge which ACCA assumes a student should have when a student is sitting for the AA exams. Now, moving onwards from knowing the knowledge structure is to know that why generally the AA exam has a very low pass rates. It's very interesting that when we look at the AA exam, which is the audit and assurance exam, and then we look at the AAA exam, which is the advanced audit and assurance exam, both of them has very low pass rates. I think uh, both of them has the lowest pass rates in terms of their positioning. When you look at the AA exams in comparison with the FR exams or the FM exams, you will see that the passing rate of AA is remarkably low. It's almost into like 30s. If you take out the average of last 5 years and 6 years, you will see the passing rate has been average around 34, 35%. So that means just like 34 or 35% students get through their exams in the very first exam sitting, and the remainder 65% student tends to struggle. The reason for the low pass rates is very, very clear because it's a theoretical paper. And in a theoretical paper, you need to write. And when you're writing, you need to communicate. And when you are communicating, the students are generally bad at communicating your ideas. If you are writing something, that should be very impressive. If you are communicating something, that should be very impressive. Because if your writing or your communication is not impressive, the assessor who is checking your paper will not be very comfortable, or the assessor will not exactly know what you're writing. So whatever you are writing should be very well explained, should be very well written, should be very well communicated, so that it is an impressive answer. Because in a theoretical paper, the presentation of the answer is very important. In a theoretical paper, the way you write the answer is very important. In a theoretical paper, the way you communicate your answer is very important. The language or the jargons of your answer is very important. So these are very important fundamentals which, if you learn over the next 2 months, you can have you can have a far better chances of success in the very first go. So, over the syllabus, I will be covering specific reasons why a student tends to struggle in a AA exam and why the pass rates in AA exams are low. But I try to identify some key reasons which I would like to discuss with you. Firstly, patchy answers. That's exactly what I was discussing with you. Patchy answers, not impressive answers. You don't write impressive. Your answers are weak, your uh, your answers are patchy. Patchy means sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. You cannot have a mixture of an answer. Your answer should be well balanced. Your answer should be very good right from the start to the end. But you cannot have a weak answer and a strong answer together. Or you cannot have a paragraph which is weak and a paragraph which is strong. You should maintain the standard of your answer right from the start to the end. So I will be guiding you when I do the practice in my sessions, that how we can assure that we are not writing a patchy answer, not writing a un unimpressive answer for the examiner. Answers not linked to cases. We know there is a case study in the AA exams. I will be guiding you upon the paper format. But when you're reading a case and you have a requirements under the case, so the requirements of the case have to connect with the case study. You cannot take your own assumptions when you're writing the answer, or you cannot take your own hypothetical assumptions when you're writing the answer. You need to assure that your answers are linked to the case study which has been given to you by the examiner. And when you read a 300 words or a 400 word case study, you need to underline the case study, you need to annotate the case study, you need to scribble on the case study, so that you are absorbing the case. And once the case has been absorbed and you start to write the answer, you can write a wonderful answer. But when you start to write the answer, the case has disappeared from your mindset, or the case has lost from your mindset, then again, you're not writing in a very good answer. Again, this is something which will be coming once I start on writing the answers and practicing the answers, which will really help you in that capacity. Next, writing more generic stuff when not needed. A lot of times students write generic stuff like heading, like definitions and like introductions when they're not been asked for. Yes, if the examiner asks you to define something, then do define it. But if the examiner is not asking you to define something and you unnecessarily define it, or you unnecessarily write an introduction of the subject matter, then obviously that's something irritative for the assessor who's checking your paper. So try to avoid the generic stuff or the rote learn stuff unless and until it's needed. If it's not needed, then no need to write that. Next, failure to produce an impressive answer. That's the key. And I will be guiding you over the next 2 months how to write an impressive answer. And if you learn the techniques of writing an impressive answer, you can be so good in double A exams, and you can be among those 35% students who get pass in the very first go. And that's the aim, right? You have to set right from the first lecture that you need to be among the 35% students. You need to organize yourself. You need to be disciplined. You need to study from the day one. You need to study whatever has been taught to you, and you need to be within the lines set by the tutor. If the tutor is setting a line, you need to follow that line. If the tutor is setting a boundary, you need to follow the boundary. If the tutor is telling you this is how you should study, then that is the way you should study. Because obviously, the tutor has an experience which the tutor wants to share with you. And the tutor wants to guide you in the best manner so that you come among the 35% students who pass the double exams in the very first go. Okay, paper format, the most important thing. Now, when you look at the format of the paper, which is so very important, you should know that when you are preparing for a computer based exam for double A, uh, your paper is bifurcated into two parts. One part of the paper is the multiple choice questions, and one part of the paper is descriptive, where you need to write your answer, you need to type your answer through the Microsoft Word, and I will be guiding you how to go about that. But 30% paper is the multiple choice question where you have to tick the right answer from the options given. 70% of the paper is where you need to read a case study and then you need to answer the requirements under the case study. Now imagine that scoring the 30% marks perhaps could be easier because they're more like the multiple choice questions and you need to take the right answer from A, B, C, D. That's a more easier thing if you know the syllabus. But the 70% marks is where you need to read a case and you need to read the requirements. And if a student understand the requirements wrongly or the student misinterpret the case study, he will not be writing a good answer. So 70% marks plays a very crucial factor, that will you be among the students who score a pass standard in the very first exam sitting of double A. 70% marks is the way you write an impressive answer. If your 70% marks are patchy answers, your 70% marks are unimpressive answers, or your 70% marks are written in a very bad manner, then you cannot pass in the very first go. Because a lot of time, students are very good on the multiple choice questions, right? They can take 30 out of 30, or they can take 25 out of 30. They can take 28 out of 30 because they're good on the multiple choice questions. But when it comes to the descriptive side, you need to score. Suppose you score 30 out of 30 on the multiple choice questions, then again you need 20 from the descriptive side to pass. But yes, if you have done your multiple choice questions good, and suppose you've taken 30 out of 30 on the multiple choice questions, then that means you are increasing your chances of success because you're moving closer to the 50 barrier. But if some student have done the multiple choice questions badly, and out of the 30 marks, the student scored 10. Now see how far away you are from the 50 barrier. So you need to understand that very carefully, and I'll just be visualizing that in the next 5 minutes. But let's first see the structured paper format of the double A exams. Section A of the double A exams, when you open the paper in the exam hall, the computer-based paper, in the section A, there are 15 questions, 15 questions, and all of them are compulsory. And these 15 questions are worth 30 marks. That means every question is worth 2 marks. 15 multiplied by 2, 30. These are all multiple choice questions. In the 15 questions, there will be a scenario one. Scenario one means a case study. And the scenario one will have 5 multiple choice questions. 1 to 5 multiple choice questions. So when you read the first scenario, after the first scenario, there will be 5 multiple choice questions, 1 to 5, and you need to take in the right answer. Then you will read the scenario 2, which will have the multiple choice questions from 6 to 10. Then you will read the scenario 3, which will have the multiple choice questions from 11 to 15. So in total, there are 15 questions worth 30 marks. So in a scenario 1, 5 MCQs, in a scenario 2, 5 MCQs, and in a scenario 3, 5 MCQs. So 5, 5, 5, they become 15 questions and they're worth 30. So every multiple choice question is worth 2 marks. And you have to score as many marks as possible from the section A of your paper, which is 15 questions with worth 30 marks. And these are all multiple choice questions. You have small scenarios, and you read those small scenarios of like 100 words, perhaps 100 and 150 words. And reading those small scenarios, you come down looking at the multiple choice question and then thinking what should be the right answer. Then when you go to the section B of the paper, the section B of the paper is a very important section, because this is a section which will have 70% marks, which are descriptive. Now, already you had 15 questions, right, in the first section. So in the section B, you will have another 3 questions which you need to attempt, and all are compulsory. So 15 questions in section A and another 3 in the section B. So that means question number 16, question number 17, and question number 18. So you have a question number 16, which is worth 30 marks, the biggest question. Then you have a question 17, which is worth 20 marks. And then you have a question 18, which is worth 20. So you have 15 questions in the section A, 1, 5, multiply by 2, and you take 30. And then when you come to the section B, you have a question number 16, 17, and 18. So in all, the paper has 18 questions, 15 questions worth 30% marks, and then the section B is worth 70. And that is the structure of the section B, 30, 20, and 20, right? That's the format of the paper, which you will be appearing for in the December exams. Now, let me do one good analysis for you. Okay, now just to do a good analysis with you, just understand this. You need to score 50% marks. That should be your first target to pass the double A exams. And in this 50%, there is a section A and there is a section B. Right? Now you go to the exam hall, and section A has 30 marks, which are all MCQs or MTQs. And there's a good student who score from these 30 marks, you score all 30 because you got all your multiple choice questions right. So you score 30. Now see, from 30, you need to go to 50. So that means you need your remaining 20% marks from the section B. And you know, the section B is worth 70 marks. And when you go to the section B, you have confidence that I need another 20, and I need another 20 from the 70 at least to get to 50, right? But there is a student who, after completing the MCQs, is very panicked, and he believes that I've not done my MCQs right, and I think 50% of my MCQs answer might be wrong because I'm not confident. Because sometimes when you take an MCQ, you are 100% sure because you have read it and you've read it very carefully. And sometimes you blur about whether I've done the right choice or the wrong choice, and you come out of the exam hall completing your paper and you're confused whether I will get 30 or I'll get 15. But see, if your MCQs goes bad and you score like 15 marks from MCQs, for example, that's the second situation, right? This is a situation one, this is a situation two. Now see, if you score 15 and you need to reach 50, sorry. Now, how many marks you need from the section B? 35. So section B is contributing to these 50% marks and to these 50% marks. In the situation one, you need 20 at least minimum. And in the situation two, you need 35. Now see, we all as students are very bad in writing the descriptive answers, the 70% marks. So is it better that you secure this and make a target that I have to get 100% marks from here? If you get 100% marks from here, then the section B, you have 70 marks, and even minimum you score 20, you will pass the paper. And minimum, right? You can score 30, 40, 50 from 70 marks. But what I need to guide you in my syllabus, in my coverage of AA, is how to write impressive 70 marks, because I believe that is the key. You need to know how to write an impressive answer for 70 marks, because multiple choice question is not an impressive answer, right? Multiple choice question is A, B, C, D, which is the right answer. And that's more easier for students, right? Because you have been doing that model in the ACCA qualification since the start of your journey. But 70 marks, how to write an impressive answer, how to write an impressive answer. So I'll be illustrating that using the same guidance given by the ACCA examining team for the computer-based exams, and I'll be doing the drilling through that computer-based version, so that you exactly know how to write in the answer through a computer-based exam. Right, so that is the analysis of the paper format, and much more to come in the remaining classes. Okay, the last thing, syllabus. The AA syllabus, not a big syllabus, very organized syllabus and very disciplined syllabus. Let's see the syllabus put in by ACCA. There is a syllabus area which is known as audit frameworks and regulation, which is the most easiest and the journal part of the syllabus, which will just be introducing you towards the frameworks for audit, how audit is regulated. Are there any laws and regulations which regulates the audit? So that's the basic thing we will be learning in that first syllabus area, and this is the most easiest one to go through. Then there is a syllabus area known as planning and risk assessment, which is an important area because that is a syllabus area from here downwards, which is basically the process of the audit. And most of the marks in the exam paper will be on the process of the audit. So the very first step of audit is planning. Planning is the first step of the audit process. Then internal controls. You should know a lot about internal controls because when I roll my syllabus, you will realize how important internal controls are for the auditor and how much time the external auditor give on internal controls. Then there is a syllabus area known as audit evidence, which is the most important syllabus area, the most important syllabus area. And that is an area where students are bit confused. They have problems, they have issues. Probably planning and risk assessment they understand very well. Internal controls they understand very well. Audit frameworks and regulations they understand very well. But this is an area which is more complex for students to understand and normally have issues and problems. So we need to give a good time on that area. Then review and reporting is such a structured area, and a lot of students are so good and so confident when it comes to review and reporting. So when you look at the syllabus, that's not a big syllabus area, right? It's just divided into 5 elements: A, B, C, D, E. And I've written M. M means moderate, and H means high. High means they are high important for exams, because a lot of marks in your MCQs and a lot of marks in your 70 marks section B comes from syllabus area: planning, internal controls, audit evidence, and review and reporting. Now believe, how should we be going about? Audit frameworks and regulation is the easiest part of the syllabus, and that's the one I will be starting first, and we'll try to complete that as early as possible, because that's the most easiest part. But the only thing which is uh, important from the first syllabus area is the code of conduct. And I would expect that all of you start to revise the code of conduct from your F1 paper. You must have read the code of conduct, the 5 principles of code of conduct. Everyone can recall that: integrity and objectivity, confidentiality, professional behavior, and professional competence and due care. You should start to revise them. You must have studied somewhere in the F1 exam the levels of assurance: moderate assurance and reasonable assurance. So you must have even studied in the F1 exam the threats to objectivity, like self-review, self-interest, familiarity, advocacy, and intimidation. So at least I expect that to be revised by you uh, at a certain time before you listen to the very first lecture on audit framework and regulations. But within audit framework and regulation, this is the most important part which comes in the exam paper: code of conduct. Rest is all miscellaneous. But yes, when you come to this area of the syllabus, which is from here to here, this is a very important syllabus area. In every exam sitting, you get a question on risk assessment. In every exam sitting, you get a question on risk assessment. In every exam setting, you get a question on audit evidence. In every exam setting, you get a question on audit evidence. And in every exam setting, you get a question on review and reporting. Must. Internal controls, at in a certain exam they will be, in a certain exam they will not be. But when I look at 100 marks paper, for sure there will be a question on risk. For sure there will be a question on evidence. For sure there will be a question on review and reporting. And most of the time there is a question on a code of conduct. It's not a deep insight syllabus. You just look at the screen, 5 areas, and we have 2 months to roll up these 5 syllabus areas in terms of lectures. And I will be giving you lectures in the order which you can see on the screen. From the audit framework, I will be going in order towards review and reporting. And in every area, we'll keep practicing so that you have a good knowledge about how to write a good answer. Now, that's the introductory phase of the AA classes, AA online classes, which is to start. And this first lecture is an orientation of the AA syllabus. One final thing is how you will be studying the AA syllabus. How will you be assuring that you have a proper mechanism to study and pass the AA exams? Let's build upon that as well. Now, this is the Word file, which I will be using across my sessions as my whiteboard, as my class board, and everything I will be writing on this board will be shared with all of you so that you can print this out and maintain your file, a proper file for double exams. Now, just the very first thing, being my first lecture, which is a lecture on orientation for AA, I just want to guide you about how you should study. for double A, so that at least you know that right from the very first day and you start to study effectively. Now, how you should study? Firstly, number one, you should ensure that you have proper knowledge, right? And number two, you think you need to ensure that you have a proper practice, knowledge and practice, the two things which will enable you to pass. Now, what should you do for knowledge? Number one, for knowledge, you should first take my online lecture and you should listen to it carefully and make your notes. Now, when you're listening to my online lecture on the screen, you will be seeing that I might be writing on this Word file. And this Word file, whatever I'm writing, I will be saving that and be sending to you. So you just need to take the printout of this and maintain a file. And when you're listening to an online lecture, you will keep this printout with you. So you can listen to my lecture and keep the printout in front of you and see, okay, what I have done in my lecture. If you want to add something, you can just add that on the printout. So that printout will become your notes. So you will keep this printout in front of you and then you will start to scribble. If you want to add something extra, you can add something extra to this printout and you maintain this printout in a sequential order in your file. So maintain a file for AA like a box file and ensure that in the box file you have all the printouts in a sequential order. So first listen to my lectures carefully and make your notes topic wise. Then read examiner articles where recommended by the tutor. So if I recommend you that you should read an article, read the examiner article where recommended by the tutor will provide you the soft copy of the article. So you just need to take a printout of that article and you will keep that article with the Word file I will be sharing with you, right? So you will take out a printout of the article. And once you listen to my lecture, you will then sit down and start to read the article. And when you're reading the article, you will again make your short notes from the article. Now, if there is no article, it will be recommended, it will be recommended that you read read the textbook for gaining knowledge. So which textbook? The Kaplan text. You perhaps you will not be reading all the chapters. You can make a system that if there is an article which covers the subject matter, then perhaps there is no need to go into the books because examiner will be making the paper not from the book but from the article. But yes, if there is no article on a subject area, then we have to go to the book. So please buy a book. You should have a Kaplan book. It could be of 2019 exams, or even it could be of 2018 exams because the syllabus is not changed. So even if you have a 2018 book or a 2019 book, will not make any difference, right? Because you have to read it on your own. So this is how the knowledge will come, right? This is how the knowledge will come. Then comes the practice. For practice, we have to do the past papers, right? A more recent one first, because we are preparing for the 2019 exams. So we have to do the more recent one first, rather than we do the earliest one first. So we'll do more recent one first. That's from 2019, 2018, 2017, 2016. So we know exactly what the examiner is asking us. So we need to do the past papers, at least from 16, 17, 18, 19. So this will be essential practice, right? For practice, I will be doing the past papers, the recent one first in my online sessions, and some of them, and remaining I will be giving as assignments. I will be giving them as assignments. So the second practice element is assignments. You will submit the assignments to me through WhatsApp by taking the picture, or rather I'll prefer that you submit me the assignment through email by doing the assignment on the Microsoft Word. So because you need to prepare for the computer based exams, you do it on the Microsoft Word. You will submit me the assignment through email by doing the assignment on the Microsoft Word at my email address, which is kashifkamran@gmail.com. And in the subject of the email, you will write, double A, no, you will write F8 assignments underscore the topic, whatever the topic is. That's how you will be emailing me. Now, please ensure that I will be doing multiple past papers with you in the classes. And once I know that, suppose the area of risk has been prepared, and I've done like two or three questions with you, I will be giving the fourth one to you. Okay, let's practice. So I want to see that how you are writing the answer. So how would we do practice together? Some questions I'll do to guide you. And once you are guided, I'll give you a certain number of assignments which you will solve and submit me by writing them on the Word file, because you need to go for a computer based exam. So you need to know how to type the answer on a Word document. So that will also give you the practice of your computer based exam. You get to know, you will increase your typing speed, your writing speed on the computers, and that will be wonderfully well for your computer based exams. So knowledge from my lecture, knowledge from the articles, and knowledge from the books. Practice in the classroom online. The recording will be shared with you, and assignments which you will submit me through at my email address, kashifkamran@gmail.com. But please ensure that when you send me the email, you have written the subject F8 assignments underscore the topic, which topic you're sending to me. And then once you send me the assignment, please WhatsApp me that you have sent me the assignment. And how much time will I be taking to check your assignments? That's very important. 2 to 3 working days, right? Because at time I might be busy. So 2 to 3 working days can be a time zone in which your assignment should be reverted back to you, right? So that's the mechanism of how you should be studying. And ideally, it's upon you how much time you give on a weekly basis. If you're giving like 4 to 5 hours on a weekly basis, that's wonderful, right? So 4 to 5 or perhaps 6 hours on a weekly basis is good to because you are in the month of September, right? Then October, then November. So you have plenty of time if you go with that sequential order. Right. With that, I'm wrapping up my first lecture, which is on the orientation. I will be sending you the file which you are looking at on the screen, and I've already shared my notes presentation with all of you. And I will be seeing you back in my second lecture, which will be the start of the syllabus, which is audit frameworks and regulations. Have a nice day. Goodbye and Allah Hafiz.